What's going on? I haven't made a video in a long time and I'm trying to get back into making videos, so hello again. But basically, I just want to talk about Marvel Rivals, which just came out today, and I've been feeling a lot of burnout with a lot of hero shooters such as Paladins, Overwatch, Overwatch 2, with an asterisk on that one. But Marvel Rivals came out. My buddy Tim told me to try it out, so I did. And I went in knowing nothing about the game. I had zero expectations. I was actually probably expecting maybe to be disappointed, if anything. But I went in with pretty open mind, clear slate, didn't know anything about the game. And I was pretty surprised. It wasn't a complete cookie cutter copy of a lot of the other games, such as the aforementioned Overwatch, Paladins, even things like Valorant, etc. So it's a 6v6 hero shooter, and it has a lot more depth than I would have expected from any modern shooter game, which was amazing. My favorite thing, I think, is the team up abilities, which is kind of how you would expect like two heroes in the Marvel Cinematic Universe to interact with each other, such as Thor giving lightning abilities to Captain America in the form of giving him a shock shield, or allowing Cloak and Dagger to make Moon Knight become an invisible cloaked buff or something like that. A lot of cool little interactions that aren't super constrictive. It's usually a pool of a few different champions or heroes, such as the Thor one with Captain America, where he gets an electric shield. You do get it with Storm or Thor, and then you have Captain America also getting the buff. So that's super fun, and I'm kind of excited to see where they go with more of these team up abilities and playing around with some of those. I think one of my favorites too is you can have Jeff the Shark, who is everyone's favorite little good boy. He can sort of jump on top of Groot and just become like a little turret, sort of, which I think is super fun. I think you can do the same thing with Rocket Raccoon. Um, there is a good amount of abilities. I think that's one of my favorite pieces of this game initially, is that there's not just two or three abilities like in the likes of Overwatch. One thing I did like about Paladins as a hero shooter versus Overwatch was you had a lot more depth in terms of the abilities. No customizable decks like Paladins or anything, but the depth of your abilities is pretty cool. There are some fun little mechanics, like you can sprint with Captain America, and then while sprinting you can do a super jump, which gives you just like a very big leap into the air, and then you can smash into the ground. Hulk also has a sort of charge up mechanic where you can hold down the spacebar button, and then you can do a large leap forward with a little guiding tooltip thing. UI is very clean. The abilities are very interesting. Everything feels like you have multiple ways to deal with different situations on every character. However, there are some that are kind of outshining others at the moment. It seems like the support heroes are sort of lacking in balance. Jeff the Shark, I mean, love Jeff the Shark, but compared to Cloak and Dagger or Mantis from Guardians of the Galaxy or the Bug Girl, she those two specifically are basically in every game I'm seeing at the moment, because their healing is just significantly better. In terms of the actual damage, I mean, everything feels fairly balanced. I'm not very good with every hero, but it feels pretty fair. And the cool thing too is with all the abilities and since the superheroes, everyone's kind of feeling OP, which is, I think, the best direction in terms of games, because it seems like a lot of times games nowadays, they don't want you to feel overpowered, or they don't want to put overpowered things in the game. But the key fix for that is just make everything feel overpowered, and then everything's really, really fun, and then nobody's overpowered, which is a sentiment that has been shared across many gamers concerning multiple genres, including like Diablo, Overwatch, League of Legends, etc. So I think that was a very good decision to make the characters all seem like they are very, very powerful, and they feel like superheroes. It's very fun to play things like Spider-Man or Venom, and you're swinging around and you have all these different abilities that can play off of each other. So it's almost like an MMO in a sense, with all the abilities you're pressing with certain characters, especially tanks. They seem to have a lot more in terms of what abilities they can do. And then mechanically, one thing I am a little annoyed with in Overwatch 2 specifically is that the projectiles sort of have a heat-seeking or an inflated hitbox, both on your character and the projectile, which is kind of annoying because there's a lot of people who are sort of brought up, which I understand the philosophy behind it. However, making everyone somewhat good without having to actually practice aim in a shooter seems a little counterproductive to me. So it was a bit jarring since I haven't played too many shooters besides like Call of Duty or Overwatch lately. Um, that you have to be super precise. I tried playing Hawkeye where I played a lot of Hanzo in Overwatch, and if you've played Hanzo in Overwatch, you know the arrows will sometimes be about 10 feet away from someone's head, and then it'll just sort of spin right into somebody's head and give you the headshot. Whereas this one, they do not do that for you. You have to hit them. However, it is very rewarding when you do. Like Hawkeye, if you do manage to hit someone, which I can't. I don't think I'm going to be playing too much Hawkeye, but it does a lot of damage. It feels great. Another thing too is you can see in those characters. Obviously, I mean, there's only so many things you can do in a hero shooter to make every character unique. There are some very, very original ideas, such as I like the very clean portaling of Doctor Strange, where it's not like a Symmetra teleporter. It's like you can place the portals anywhere, and it's like a seamless teleportation for your whole team to use. I love that. I was blown away seeing the Doctor Strange teleportation system. However, I mean, obviously, like with Hulk, he's very much like Winston, but not exactly. Like they managed to take things from other hero shooters, other mechanics, and managed to improve upon them, which I thought was amazing. You don't really see things being improved upon much anymore, which is kind of sad. And that's a whole other topic I can rant about in a video. But one more highlight too is that the maps are wonderfully thought out. They did include lots of vertical. There are a lot of flyers. Not to say that, you know, melee can't kill flyers. I mean, I played Iron Fist and I managed to kill a storm who was floating way above the map, but they did think about how a flying hero is going to interact with the environment, and they included a lot of that as well. There's also many lanes or avenues to get around the map. It's not a super linear experience like Overwatch tends to do. You have lots of ways to do flanking. You can go up and over a lot of the map. There's a lot of ground that you can stand on, where if you've played games like Call of Duty or Overwatch and you manage to try and get on top of a roof, they don't let you. It sort of has this invisible nudging mechanic that slowly pushes you off of those surfaces, whereas this game, it has some of it, but a lot of the environment is interactive and you can stand in many different places, so positioning is very interesting. There's lots of places you can hide or use as escape routes or use to flank. And that's incredible. I wish more games would implement that instead of the linear match, because it makes every game feel a little more different. It's very engaging. It gives you a lot of replayability. It doesn't feel stale. So good job on that with Marvel games and NetEase. Another just little tidbit that I thought was very fun that you don't see in too many games either, which was something that we had technology for a long time ago, is destructive environments. You can actually blow up the walls. If you do enough damage to them, you can remove sections of parts of the map, and that can also open up extra flanking opportunities, extra chokes. You can release yourself from chokes if you're having trouble pushing forward. Just blow up some of the wall. And some of it just happens organically. You know, you're playing Hulk, you're smashing, the walls just tend to crumble around you. But I like that bit. I think destructive environments should be used a lot more in video games. We've had the technology. There's no reason to not include it in, especially shooters with a lot of action-packed stuff. I think it's just fun. There's not really any real solid mechanics to it. Like, you don't need to have it, but I think it is a lot more fun. And again, like, overall, the game is incredible. I love the game. I'm probably going to play it. I uninstalled Overwatch 2, I'm not going to lie, and I'm going to play a lot more Marvel Rivals. because I just find it a lot more interesting. I went in with, again, no expectations, no prior knowledge. I maybe saw a clip or two, not really understanding what's going on in Marvel Rivals. Um, but I'd give it a solid 9 out of 10. I mean, there's a couple issues. I hope that I guess we're getting 5 new characters in Marvel Rivals moving forward by the end of the month, and maybe they add some more support characters that can sort of even it out, or maybe buff some of the existing ones, which I hope is going to be the idea. Or, I mean, at the same time, it could also just be that these the player base, it's a brand new game, no one knows what they're doing, and that's always a magical time until established metas are put in place and the players essentially police themselves into playing a certain way. I hope that doesn't happen for a while. I hope everyone plays in a very fun way outside of competitive. But if they can manage to bring up some of the supports, I think this will be a very, very, very strong contender, especially if they end up wanting to do esports, which I couldn't really care less if it was becoming an esport, because I think esports have kind of ruined gaming in a way. But again, that can be in another video. Slight asterisk though, I know NetEase, which is the developer of the game with Marvel Game Studios, they have had some backlash from previous titles, e.g. Diablo Immortal, with their Diablo collaboration with Blizzard Activision. And they had the egregious microtransactions, which, if you didn't know, I mean, you can look it up, but I'll briefly go over it. Basically, you had these 5-star gems, but you could get a 1 of 5-star gem, and you would have to spend an enormous amount of money. People spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on Diablo Immortal trying to get a 5 of 5 perfect legendary gem to make it so that they were the most powerful, mostly evident in PvP. However, this game does not have that. It is a battle pass business model, which I know is a little tired and played out in today's day and age of gaming, but it's essentially become the norm, especially in free-to-play competitive games. So, I mean, comparatively to a lot of stuff, a cosmetic or battle pass system of monetization isn't the worst thing in the world, so whatever. Another thing too, though, is they managed to have a very good launch. NetEase has always had kind of good launches from my experience, at least with Diablo Immortal. I had very minimal packet loss here and there, and that'll probably go away over time. I mean, Call of Duty has immense packet loss issues, and which seem to be long lasting for whatever reason. And comparatively to even Overwatch 2, if you remember, the servers were completely bogged down. People couldn't play for sometimes days. Diablo 4, people couldn't log in the very first day. Any World of Warcraft expansion. I will say Call of Duty sort of manages to do okay. Helldivers 2, if you played Helldivers 2, you couldn't play like ever, because you would have to sit in queue and hope that you got in. So no issues there. Very, very strong servers for a launch. I was genuinely impressed with that. But overall, I mean, if you're feeling burnt out from Overwatch 2, or you maybe played Overwatch 2, or you're looking for a hero shooter, hell, even if you played Star Wars Battlefront 2, the original hero shooter back then, TF2, anything like that, then you might want to try this, especially if you are a Marvel fan, obviously, but also if you like a little more depth in your games or your characters. You want to have a little more freedom or tools to deal with certain situations in your games and really get the brain juices flowing. Team composition, thoughts, and strategizing. Then I think you'll have a very, very fun time with this title. But outside of this video, I mean, I'm not really sure what I want to do with my channel anymore. I'm just kind of using it because I like to talk about games and interact with people who like to talk about games. So I'm always happy if you leave a comment. I will reply most of the time if you're not a complete egghead. But other than that, I do stream on Twitch. I think it's Ricci TV. I think I changed my name recently, but I'll probably stream the game over there. But other than that, I've got like Stalker 2 and stuff to play, and I'll probably just go forward talking about games or experiences rather than actual gameplay. But if you made it to the end, I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know your thoughts if you tried Marvel Rivals. If you're feeling burnt out on Overwatch 2, how do you feel about the abilities versus Overwatch 2 or Paladins if you played those titles? I'm genuinely curious. Let's bring social media back to being social and actually interacting. So thanks for watching. I'm going to go take a breath now, and I will see you later. Peace.